We go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the codcast. You can hear this podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and Amazon. A Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. Now, if you'd like to be a part of this podcast as a guest or a contributor, you can email us at catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. That's catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. No opening beds, no theme song, just straight to it. Cough and a here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And also, a mess up. Welcome to episode 57 of the Catalyst Podcast, everyone. I want to take a moment to thank everybody. Our listening is growing. We're getting more people on board. We are having some challenges with TikTok. I don't know what's going on. We're doing very simple motivational reels, following all the guidelines. I'm taking content. I see people just copying content and there's no problem with it. I'm creating new content. I'm in Canva. I'm not using the those kind of already put together pieces. I'm coming up with an idea and a concept, a talking point with music and video and putting it all together. And for some reason, I'm violating something. And they never give you an explanation why. They never give you an explanation why. Now, I don't get it, but hopefully, as we keep pushing on, those who've been part of the TikTok chain with Catalyst will help repost that stuff and get it out, because that's all we want to do. I mean, we want to be able to motivate people, inspire people, let them know that they're not alone, and hopefully the stories and the information we give in the podcast here, as well as with our weekly blog, we just hope that it's reaching people and it's helping them in some small way, and that's all we want. That's all we're looking for. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a topic that's been buzzing around for ages: multitasking. That's right, multitasking. The magical ability to do two things at once. Well, let's clear the air about this whole multitasking thing, okay? So before we jump into it, let's get on the same page about what multitasking switching is. All right. And that's really going to be our focus: multitasking and task switching. All right. Let me give you a definition about what that actually means. So, multitasking, it's kind of like juggling chainsaws, right? You're handling multiple things at once. You're making it look effortless, right? But on the other hand, you have task switching. And task switching is more like bouncing between chainsaws. You're constantly dropping one to pick up the other, and it's a recipe for disaster. Okay? Think about it. You're sitting at your desk trying to write an email, and then your phone buzzes with a notification. You can't resist the urge to check it, right? Yes. Yes. All the time, no matter what I do. So, what do? You drop your email, you pick up your phone, you scroll through social media, and then you go back to the email. That is task switching in action. All right. Now, let's talk about a couple of the myths you might have heard about multitasking, right? For years, I've been led to believe that multitasking was like a superpower. We've seen countless commercials and articles praising people who can do 10 things at once, but let's be honest, right? How many times have you tried to cook dinner, talk on the phone, and watch TV simultaneously, only to end up with burnt food, a missed call, and a plot hole in your favorite show? All right? I know I'm not the only one, right? The truth is our brains aren't wired for multitasking. We're actually really good at focusing on one thing at a time. But we've been conditioned to believe that we need to be doing everything all the time. All right? Now, let's get a little nerdy for a second. Let's talk about the science behind this, right? Studies have shown that when we try to multitask, our brains are actually switching back and forth between tasks very rapidly. This constant switching takes mental energy and it can lead to a decrease in productivity, increased stress, and even impaired cognitive functions. Now, it's like trying to run a marathon while also trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. Anybody remember what those are? Uh, Man, I remember that and the what was it? The kabangers. Remember the kabangers too? Those two giant, you know, hard plastic balls on strings and a little stick, and your fingers would get caught or you'd hit somebody. They were weapons. They were weapons. The Rubik's Cube was a little bit safer, right? But like I said, it's kind of it's kind of like running that marathon while trying to solve that Rubik's Cube. Now you might be able to do both, but you're not going to be setting any records. All right, got off a little off track of stand there. Sorry about that, folks. But let's move on. So we've established that multitasking is a risk or a myth. Okay, but it doesn't mean that there aren't any benefits to being able to handle multiple tasks. Let's look at the pros and cons of this. Let's break this down. So when it comes to the pros, time management. Multitasking can help you get things done faster, especially if you're good at prioritizing tasks. Problem solving. Switching between tasks can sometimes help you come up with new ideas and solutions. Stress release. Engaging in multiple activities can be a great way to relax and unwind. Now let's look at the cons. All right. Decreased productivity, as we've discussed. A constant task switching can actually slow us down. Increased errors. When you're not fully focused on a task, you're more likely to make mistakes. And burnout, right? Trying to do too much can lead to exhaustion and burnout. So I had a friend, give you a little story here. I have a friend who used to be a hardcore multitasker, right? He would pride himself on being able to handle multiple projects, answer emails, and take calls all at the same time. But what happened is he quickly realized that he was sacrificing quality for quantity. And they were actually making more mistakes, feeling more stressed, and actually getting less done. Okay? That's when they decided to make a change. They started focusing on one task at a time, and it was amazing how much more productive they became. It wasn't easy at first, but it was definitely worth it. All right? So, why don't we give you some tips for effective task management? How about that? All right. So, how can we improve your task management skills without sacrificing productivity? Well, number one, prioritize. Determine which tasks are most important and then tackle those first. All right. Break it down. Large tasks can be overwhelming, so break them down into smaller, more manageable steps. Next, eliminate distractions. What? Eliminate distractions. Where? Ooh, look at the shiny thing. Right there, folks. That's probably a big one for you as it is for me. I'm so easily distracted. Once I'm able to get into that zone, oh man, I'm in it. But a lot of the time, I'm constantly being distracted. So, how do we do that? Turn off your notifications on your phone. Put your phone away. Or there's features on your phone where you can actually turn it off during work hours, right? You know, get yourself a quiet place. Avoid these multitasking temptations, right? How about this? Take breaks. Short breaks can help recharge and improve your focus. Maybe you want to set yourself a little timer and maybe 30 to 45 minutes of just staying focused, and then give yourself like a quick 5-minute break and then get back into it and a quick 5-minute break, or however you want to do it. But come up with something where it's a short bursts of information or whatever task you're doing, which falls into time management, right? Using techniques like the Pomodoro technique or time blocking can manage your time very, very effectively, right? So let's recap. Multitasking is a myth. Our brains are not simply designed to handle multiple tasks at once. Task switching, on the other hand, can really be detrimental to our productivity and well-being. So by focusing on one task at a time, prioritizing and eliminating distractions, we can improve our focus, reduce stress, and achieve better results. So what's the takeaway? Well, how about this? I challenge you to try a no multitasking challenge for 1 week. Focus on one task at a time and see how it impacts your productivity and overall well-being. You'll probably be a little bit surprised at the results. All right. So with that being said, that's it for the episode, folks. I want to thank you for listening to the Catalyst podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name's Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can actually hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, iHeart, and Amazon. A Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. If you'd like to be a part of this podcast as a guest or a contributor, you can email us at catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. Catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to episode 57. Now, remember, you don't have to be a superhero to be successful. You just need to be focused and efficient. So until next time, keep grinding, stay motivated. Thank you for listening to episode 57. We'll see you on episode 58. Go be great.